So yeah, Hornet 12 is a thing. You probably already know what Hornet does, so I'm not going to bother explaining it. But you might be wondering, is Hornet better than Podgun? So I'll just play this side-by-side comparison, and then I'll talk more about it afterward. Alright, so yeah, here are the results of Hornet versus Podgun. You might notice that the Podgun numbers look a little bit different than they did against Disc Launcher in my last comparison video. This is because when I was calculating the time difference based on projectile speed, I actually did it incorrectly the first time. And so, yeah, it's suffice to say, for future tests, I'm going to be running all of the ranges and not doing the calculations. Yeah, I've learned my lesson, and also it's just easier to keep track of when you're actually watching it. But yeah, let's talk about Hornet 12. I maxed it out for the sake of the comparison. In order to kind of counterbalance that, I have the Venom damage at level 4. This is the only damage implant that the weapon has, so like kind of doesn't matter. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. Alright, so I'm basically just gonna use this weapon like I would with Podgun, I guess, because I don't really know how else I would use it. There's an interesting note is that, like, I mean, I've played this a couple times already, but what's really interesting is the Venom damage actually does more than the projectile damage does. But if you mag dump on somebody, you're not going to actually have the time to apply Venom, and then for it to stack to bro, what the world? How'd you get back here? For it to stack, for it to count down like that, and then for you to be able to get another stack in. So it's a good idea to kind of wait for a second after applying it, so that when you finish off your magazine, you can apply it twice, and that'll boost your damage output by quite a bit, by like 50% actually. Even still, you might notice the thing that I was wondering is that the effect is not accumulating any faster on the heavier energy version, and that's really sad. I think this weapon could be pretty good if you could just fire once and then apply the poison, like, and I mean by fire once, I mean hit them with the full 3-round burst of both weapons, right? You're hitting them with 6 shots, and you're still not able to apply the full effect, which is not great. So I'm gonna wait a second, and then fire a bit more. Ah, okay, never mind, bye-bye. Alright, so I have basically the same thing set up on Lacewing here. I did put on the range implant, because I think that's one of the benefits of this weapon over Podgun. Probably the only benefit, to be honest. Yeah, you can see if I just like full mag dump. What I also could do is like stagger my shots like this. And then probably apply it multiple times that way. Basically keep a steady stream, but I think it's probably better to... just hit them with the bursts from both. Do I have range of that? No, I don't. I actually don't even know what my maximum range is right now. It's like 112. Oh, hello. But keep in mind, this is a missile. I mean, a good benefit of this over Podgun is the immediate damage, but the problem is that the damage itself is not good, which means that immediate damage, you know, it's not very helpful if it's not actually good damage. So, like, theoretically, you could brawl more practically with this than you could with, let's say, a Podgun, but that's not even really true, because this thing's damage is sad. It definitely felt a lot better when I was using the 8s. What, it could have just been the type of enemies that I was up against? I don't really know. It has some potential for sure, and I kind of like the way that it feels, but I'm not super impressed with the damage, like, at all. Pod Gun's damage is pretty noticeably higher, I would say. Or at least it seems that way. I don't know, I think like when I looked at the stats, the Pod Gun 8 versus Hornet 8, I think Hornet 8 had more damage including the effect. So, I don't really know what's up with that. Excuse you. Okay. So maybe you really do need the 16. Maybe the 16 could actually be good. Remains to be seen. Ow. My remains can also be seen. Alright, so I have it on Bastion right now. And the reason is because I actually found this build to be kinda decent. Bastion does work pretty well with like sort of mid-range kind of burst brawler type things like this. Like it works strangely well with Tetra Rifle. Hey, stop. Don't do that. Come on, bro. So, yeah, it's, I mean, it's definitely not going to be a meta build, because Bastion's just not that good, but it's an interesting build, that's for certain. I think this thing doesn't stand a chance to be meta on any of the medium mechs. I think the only one that might see some top-end action is the 16. That's the one that I'm really waiting for when it comes out, specifically on something like Outlaw. Well, I know I've been saying Outlaw, but actually Solus kind of has my attention. Now that I kind of think about it, they kind of like, you know, firing for a second and then holding off for them to for the poison to kind of stack on them for it to apply, so you can just fire at them again for a couple seconds. It's a very I don't want to say hit and run, but it has you firing in like 2-second increments, which is kind of perfect for the blind duration, I'm not gonna lie. So we might see that do pretty well also. Okay, now I'm fine. They got 2 block horns here. Hello, friends. My man wants none of it. Oh man, I don't blame me, bro. What are the bots doing? Are they all pod gun bots hanging out in the back? What are you doing? Alright, well, I mean, it's kinda... it's weird, but they don't really have a good angle on him right now. Don't come towards me. Yeah, it takes 3 bursts from a single weapon. It's like you don't have to like double burst it necessarily. You could just do like 1, 2, 3 quick succession from one of them. Ah, bro, that guy. Get back here, freaking nerd. There we are. Alright, so comparing Hornet to Podgun here, the reload speed on Podgun is faster, so that's something. And the damage is also higher. This optimal range thing, I do wonder if Hornet has damage fall off, but it almost doesn't matter because, like I said, more than half of the damage is actually in the Venom effect. Especially if you're able to apply it twice in a single magazine, then that's, you know, theoretically like between 25 and 30% of your damage being from the actual projectiles. Which, I mean, first off, isn't great, because we all know that freaking Eclipse is going to ignore all of that, so it makes you very, very ineffective against Eclipse. But theoretically, your effectiveness against, especially like a Lacewing, should be a bit higher with Hornet versus Podgun, although the RPM might be a factor. I can't really trust these numbers because these numbers are not often very accurate. But they feel like roughly the same, like unload speed. Either way, yeah, it's a very interesting weapon. I actually do like it on Bastion, as, weirdly enough, it seems actually pretty solid. I'm still not fully decided if I think Hornet or Podgun is better. I'm leaning towards Podgun, but let me know which one you think is better in the comments. Either way, that is going to be it from me. Appreciate y'all. Take care.